Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Ben, and this is episode 12 of the PB and Gainz podcast. And so this podcast is slated to come out Wednesday before Thanksgiving. So just kind of wanted to throw out from us here at the podcast and Avenue Fitness. Wanted to wish you and your family a happy Thanksgiving. I hope it is great, full of good food, good fellowship, some football, whatever it is that you do. I hope you do it well, and I hope you have a great time. So just wanted to throw that out there before we get this party started. And since I got that out of the way, let's go ahead and get to the quote. So today's quote is from the book You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero. I'm hoping I got that last name right. Here goes. In order to kick ass, you must first lift up your foot. So I think that really leads into the message that you're going to hear today, and I'll kind of dive into that as we go. But that was a quote, so welcome to the podcast today. Today I wanted to talk to you about something. I did a Periscope video this morning as a prequel to this, and the podcast is all about clearing the fog. And what I want you to do is think about it that you are in a boat, you're trying to get to a destination, and then you have a bunch of fog come through. Things become clouded, things become hard to see, hard to navigate. And so that's going to be my metaphor for life. You have a goal that you set in front of yourself. You have something that it is that you want to achieve, yet you bring in certain circumstances. There are outside circumstances. There's self-sabotage, procrastination, a number of other things that kick in, self-doubt, and they cloud the vision that you have set for yourself, for your family, for your business, and it clouds it. And then you kind of have to navigate through this fog, and it is a challenge. It is hard as hell to do it. And so we wanted to give you a few tips today on how you can clear that out so you can reach your destination quicker, more efficiently, and you might not have to, it won't take as long of a time. I know I just said quicker, and that kind of threw those two things. But you're going to get to where you want to be. You're going to be better. Now, granted, obstacles, they're going to pop up. It's a given. And those obstacles are going to make you better and stronger in the long term. So it's not to negate those, but just to say that a lot of these outside circumstances, and even actually probably the more the ones that are going to cause more issues are going to be ones that you bring up in your own mind. So we're going to dive into that. So that is fog. We're going to clear it, and we're going to give you a few tips. So one of the things that can cause this fog is fear. And we talked about that a little bit with Jordan in, I think, episode 5 of the podcast. We dive in with him, and he talked about fear and some of these things and failing. And you have to get over it. You have to get past the fear. That was the first thing he told us. Like, if you failed, rule number 1 is get over it. And it's the same thing with fear. A lot of us have fears, and they're very irrational. We're afraid to go talk to people. We're afraid to, what if this doesn't work out? A number of things. Cooking is a big one. We talk about cooking a lot in the Real Food Movement Facebook group and in our gym here, and we get a lot of stuff back from people that are, well, what if it doesn't turn out like my mom's, my grandmother's? What if I screwed up? I bought a lot of these expensive things. I don't want to mess them up. Fear. You'll never know how you can do until you try. So fear is a huge part of that matrix that is fog. And it's one of those things. It's like sometimes you just have to attack it head on. I'm working on the podcast, like our end of the year wrap up, and working on my goals for 2016, which is weird for me because I don't really do a lot of that. But I'm trying to pick a word, and my word for 2016 is going to be attack. And that's kind of going to be the theme of 2016 for me, what I would like it to be at least. And so I'm going to take that word and apply it here because you need to attack your fears. You need to go after them and say, hey, guess what? I'm not necessarily as scared as I think. Even if you have to lie to yourself to do it, try it. Attack it. Go at it. Because you'll find a lot of it is just in your head. It's not even there. I was afraid to go talk to clients on the floor, but then you get into these conversations with them and realize these people are nice. I can get a lot out of these conversations. I can help these people in these conversations. Maybe it's going to speak in front of people. Maybe it's to speak to someone you haven't spoken to. Maybe it's even to talk to your own spouse. Whatever it is, a lot of the issues are in our head. You got to attack it. So that's what we're going to talk about. Attack the fear. First off, you're going to have to identify it. Identify what it is. Identify where the problems come into mind. If there's something that you see and you're like, man, I'm afraid of this failing. Okay, why are you afraid of it failing? Dive a little bit deeper. Ask tough questions. Find out if that fear, is it irrational? Is it rational? most of the time, like I said, they're going to be irrational. They're going to be something our own mind has dreamt up, and because it doesn't want to have to do extra work. It doesn't want to get out of its comfort zone. But then again, if you're 20 pounds overweight, 30 pounds overweight, whatever it is, and you're still doing the same thing, you're not getting out of your comfort zone. You're like, well, what's going to happen? What if I don't do this right? Let me just try another diet. Like, that's not a rational train of thought. It's irrational. Attack it. Go after it. Figure out what it is. Ask some of these questions that you need to ask of yourself to see these fears, find out what they are, and overcome them. One big thing that stems from fear is procrastination. And I think everybody in my life can tell you, I am good at procrastinating. It's what I've always done since I was little. I just didn't want to do something, and I'd put it off last minute, and then come crunch time, boom, here I go. And so procrastination is real. Now, some people like the thrill of the last minute thing. I think I'm part of that. I think it's a big part of me is like, I like that thrill. Last minute, let's crush it, let's go. So there's that. Secondarily, for me, I'm afraid. Because it's like, what if I put my whole heart into this and it fails? Better wait till the last minute and I have my reason why it failed. We've all been there. We've all done something like, last minute, you forget about it. Okay, it happens. Or you intentionally put it off. That's different. And then that procrastination then clouds up a number of other issues that's in your mind. It fogs everything up because then all of a sudden you start to doubt certain things. Like, well, I'm running behind schedule now. Like, what if it doesn't work? And you build in excuses all the time, and it clouds everything up. If your goal is to eat better, or I'm gonna say this, if your goal is the metric of losing 15 to 20 pounds, and you're like, I'm gonna start next Monday. I'm gonna start January 1st. Whatever it is, like that's procrastinating. You're afraid of getting into it because if you try something and then a couple days, 3 days, 4 days, you don't see any changes, you're like, I'm doing this wrong, and then you fall right back into it. And a lot of that just comes from your own mind. And I'm telling you, you got to clear that fog out, because if you can't see your hand in front of your face. You can't see the next step. You can't see this path that's right in front of you. It's going to cloud it up. It's going to fog it. So when you procrastinate, you have to ask yourself, do I like the thrill? Or am I just hiding? Am I putting it off because I'm afraid? And so it's one of those things. You have to be vulnerable with yourself. And if you can't be vulnerable, it's going to take you a lot longer to get to where you want to be. And so when it comes to procrastination, like, that is huge. And I want you to think about that. And I want you to know that it's more than just putting things off. It stems from fear. It stems from being afraid. So think about that when you go into it. Like the quote that I used today is, you have to be able to lift up your foot to kick ass. And it's like, we often feel like we're super unqualified for things. We feel like we're not worthy of things. And what that really comes down to is, like, and I know that it's in the book, You Are a Badass, to talk about when we say we're unqualified or we're not worthy, what we're really saying is that we're too scared to try it, or it falls along those lines. Like, we're just scared, we're afraid, we're fearful, so we're going to procrastinate, we can put stuff off. Another quote they use in that book, I'm going to just keep rolling with this, is like, procrastination is one of the most popular forms of self-sabotage because it's really easy. It's so much easier to procrastinate than to be able to go and try something that might challenge you and put you in a spot to where you feel inadequate. And you fall into this little cycle of going the easy route, being inadequate, going back into this easy route, and you never get out of that. You never get out of that loop. If it comes down to this, I talked with a lady the other day when it came down to smoking and stopping smoking, and she was very upfront. It's like, hey, look, it's not bothering me right now, and so I know it's going to come down to a point. If I really want to quit, I'm just going to have to be serious about it. And so if you're serious about changing your life, you'll find a way. I mean, if the alternative is you're going to find an excuse. So keep that in mind. You have to be real. You have to be real. You have to be real serious. And that in turn can help put off some of that fear and the procrastination. So that's going to clear some of that fog out, and it's going to give you this clear path to be able to get you where it is you want to go. And so one of those things that you might want to get into is writing down your goals, writing down something that you can see. They always talk about having smart, measurable, attainable, realistic goals that are on a time constraint. That's the whole SMART acronym. that works for some people, and it really does. And I think everyone should try it and give it a shot, but you have to be serious about it. Otherwise, you're wasting your time, and you're going to fall right back into that whole thing of clouding up your mind and getting in your own way, so you're not going to get to that successful point. Write down your goals. A really cool thing that we've done in the past in our house is you just get a dry erase marker, you write it on your bathroom mirror so you see it every day. You say, I want to lose 10 pounds by this, I want to do this. And it lets you see it and you're able to work towards it. So that's something to keep in mind. Another thing that you can do is to set a deadline. Like I said, most people give a deadline when they're a start time. Oh, January 1st, here it is. Well, guess what? Like, you can always move back, that kind of thing. And you can always move back a deadline, but give yourself something. So you have just a little bit over a month to end this year on a high note. Most people are going to start January 1. Why not start, November 25th today? And it might not be a drastic change. It might not be like, I'm going to do Whole30 starting today on Thanksgiving. No, you don't have to do that. You can just be, all right, look, I might just cut out booze during the week. I might go out and cut out an after meal snack in the evening. There's little things you can do that are going to be probably better for you in the long run than some huge drastic change. So write down your goal, set your deadline, and then in turn, like you had that becomes your outcome goal. Like, I want to lose 20 pounds. Why don't you set a series of behavioral goals? Like, all right, I'm going to walk every day. And it could just be a 5-10 minute walk. Or you can say, hey, I'm going to walk a mile a day. I'm going to build up to a mile a day. Whatever. You set these behavioral goals, like I'm going to eat 3 meals a day. Or if you want to even simplify it, I'm going to eat breakfast every day. Most of us skip breakfast because we're in a hurry or it's just not that important. And the old saying goes, breakfast is the most important meal of the day, which I would throw out the caveat that no, every meal is equally important. But I'm going to come back to the topic here, is that behavioral goal of saying, hey, I'm just going to eat breakfast today and every day. That's going to help you out because that's one positive thing you're doing. So like I said, write your goals down in a place that you can see them every single day. 2, give yourself a deadline. You're going to need that deadline. And 3, write some behavioral goals that are going to get you to your outcome. So don't just be like, I'm going to lose 1 pound a day. No, you have to say, I'm going to eat eat breakfast every day. You have to have something that's very tangible, quick to even describe to somebody. So if I say, how are you going to do that? Oh, I'm going to walk every day. Great. That's awesome. You're going to walk every day. If you want to get deeper and clarify a mile, whatever it is, build it up like that. So write it down, set a deadline, and write your behavioral goals to go with or that will lead to your outcome goal. There's that. Ways that you can get a little bit better with these things. One, I'm going to say is to get a mentor or a coach or a trainer, whatever it is you need that you can push yourself a little bit more and challenge you, because that person is going to see things differently. Their reality is different than your reality. So they can see in mostly more realistic outcomes than you can, because they don't have your brain fog. They don't have that thing that's clouding their mind. They can see things for what it is typically, and they can tell you, hey, you should do this because you're capable. You can lift this weight because I know you're strong enough to. You can walk a mile because I know you're strong enough. You can even try a little jog because I know you can do it. You can eat breakfast because I know you can do it. So getting that mentor, coach, trainer, whatever it is, make that something that's a priority. And it could just be somebody who has done this before and they've been successful. I had a conversation with a former colleague today, and we were just going back and forth of challenging each other, asking questions and saying hey, guess what? This might be tough. You can do this. So we were able to challenge each other. I actually probably leaned on her more than she was leaning on me with things, but for me, I needed that challenge. I needed that mentor-coach relationship where someone could kind of walk me through some of the things that I can't see because I have my own cloud around my mind and my path and my journey. Mentor or coach. You can also enlist a friend, an accountability partner, someone that's going to, hey, if you want to start a walking group in the morning, awesome. If you and some people at your office want to get up at lunch and walk and talk and bring your lunch with you, awesome. Or if you want to do a meal sharing plan, great. Bring someone in. Now, don't make them your scapegoat. Don't be like, oh, you missed out on this one day, so I screwed up. No, that's up to you. But having somebody that you can do this with and go on this journey with makes it more fun. And we're social creatures. We need to be able to have that relationship with another person, especially one that's a friendship. We can talk, laugh, challenge each other a little bit back and forth. We need that. If you do things by yourself, you feel alone. Like you go to Thanksgiving and you're like, sorry, I'm a fruitarian and there's not a lot of fruit on the table. Well, you're alone. But you go in there and you kind of hide yourself back, whatever it is, come out, be social, do these things that you need to do that are important. Said if your goals are important, you want to be able to get somebody else involved, just ask. So get a mentor or coach, enlist a buddy, and then most importantly, be intentional. Don't just expect these things to happen. Don't just expect that fog to clear. You have to want it to clear. You have to make it clear. You have to write your goals out. You have to be able to follow them. Even if it gets tough, you're going to have to get strict on certain things and say, hey, I needed to have breakfast today. You know what? I have to do something. I have to eat something. Prep the night before, whatever it is. Be intentional. Good things don't just fall out of the sky. Health doesn't just fall out of the sky. You earn it. And it sounds, it's that hardcore mentality, but like honestly, that's the real aspect of it. You have to be intentional. If you're not intentional, you're not going to be where you want to be, and it's nobody else's fault but your own. So be intentional. And you can play that into getting your mentor or coach, enlisting your friend, coworkers, whatever. Be intentional. As I said, that's it. I mean, that's kind of the three-pronged attack, I should say, is fear. Like, understand what the fear is. Understand what your obstacles are that are clouding your vision to your goal. And once you get a better idea of, say, the enemy, you can then go and attack him because you have a clear understanding. So figure out what those fears are, identify them, attack them. Then craft your plan, write down your goals, set your deadline, and then write your behavioral goals down as well. And so some of those will come after you identify the fear. That's fine because the game plan will always change a little bit. So there you go. And then you bring some other people and be intentional in everything that you do. And that's pretty much today's podcast. And I really hope that this benefits you. I know a lot of things that you see out there that, like, oh yeah, write your goals down. I'm going to tell you, write your goals down and stick to them. Stick to them. Because if it's important to you, it's worth it to do it. I have nothing else to say other than that. If it's important to you, you'll do it. All right, so write them down. See them every day. Positive talk. Every cell in your body feeds off of that positive talk. I promise you. I promise you. I promise you. Notice negative people, they're always beat down, tired, whatever it is, because their body's responding to that negative talk. So feed your body positivity with goals and everything that you do. Like I said, this is going to be it today. I really enjoyed kind of coming up here and talking a little bit with you guys. I hope you have an incredible Thanksgiving. Getting into this holiday season, we're going to keep these podcasts going, so expect it every Wednesday. Every Wednesday we're going to be here to have a little conversation. We would love to hear a review, some feedback. If you can find us on iTunes, TuneIn Radio, Stitcher, or the Spreaker app, you can find us there. I'd love to get some feedback because we want to know what we can do better to help you more. So there's that. You can also go to avenuefitness.com, AVENU fitness.com. We have great blogs, other resources there available to you. A great Pinterest page, Avenue Fitness. You can find things there. And that is going to be it for today. I hope you guys, like I said, happy Thanksgiving. Have a great Wednesday, whatever day you listen to this. And we will see you next week. Deuce.